doing splits? Whoa. It's a flexible baby. Today we had Tessie's genetics appointment, and this isn't the first time we've gone through this whole like genetics thing. First we did it with Maggie, and we went through it with James, and we actually like did the testing with Maggie, and then the geneticist said that he didn't think, since he hadn't found anything with Maggie, he didn't think he would find anything with James. The reason they were sending James for testing was because it was when he was a little baby, and he was super floppy, and he was super low tone and super flexible, and that was when he was having the right side of his body wasn't really, he wouldn't use it very much at all, and was trying to do everything with his left leg and his left hand, and so that's why his neurologist wanted him to have genetic testing done. And so this is the second time we went with those two kids to genetic testing, and then when Tessie was in the pediatric ICU, they called in genetics too. And that geneticist has since left the practice, and I guess they don't have a geneticist, or they're not having a genetics office anymore at the university where our kids usually go, at least right now. And so they gave me a choice between going to University of Michigan or up to Grand Rapids to DeVos Children's Hospital, and since Tessie already goes to DeVos for pulmonology, I decided to go up there. And that was apparently a really good choice because they told me that U of M's wait list is over a year right now. So, lucky choice. So, we went up this morning, and we left at like, 6:40. And we were late. we got up there as fast as we could, and we were still late, about 10 minutes late, but they were super nice, and we got in there. Are you guys fighting over the iPad? Or over the Kindle Fire, I mean? Patrick, can you look at Mama? It backfired, didn't it? Tessie, what are you doing? Are you doing splits? Whoa. It's a flexible baby. You don't want to have it, Sadie. I do. Well, why don't you go play together? No, close it, please. And went over all the family history stuff and all of her developmental stuff. And the only genetic test she has had done so far was this. It's for a gene called FOX2B, and what they were looking for was they were trying to determine if she had something called congenital central hypoventilation syndrome, and if she had that, she would have had a tracheostomy, and basically she would have been put on a ventilator when she was 6 months old. And thank goodness that test came back negative, and she doesn't have the mutation on the gene FOX2B, and so that gene was normal. But so far that is the only genetic testing Tessie has had done up until now, and so they ordered a lot of tests. One was like a microarray. Basically they were doing all the chromosomal testing that they did on Maggie, plus the way they explained it with Maggie was like your chromosomes are like a book, and with Maggie it was like they had looked at every single page, and with Tessie now it's like they're going to look at every single line. Tessie, guys, what are you doing down there on the floor? Silly.
Can I go back? Can I go back? Can I go back? Can I go back now?
And then they're also going to take it further, and they said there's something like 20,000 genes that they're also going to specifically look at, and this is more like the cutting edge of gene technology right now. I'm not sure if that's even the right way to put it, but basically there's these other 20,000 genes that some of them they know cause problems or can be responsible for certain things. Some of them might be responsible for certain things. I may not be doing a great job of explaining this. and some of them they're not really sure, and maybe they'll be sure in a few years. I mean, they will be learning more, and so from the results now, we may not get answers now, but there may be more answers farther down the road.
I think she watched it. I think she watched them. She so watched them.
She loves that they have wheels.
She watched her. It looks like she wants to bring them home. I'm a peacock.
You're a peacock?
Peacock.
Which, I mean, okay, so the first time we got sent to genetics, I was like ready for answers, and we got the referral, and they called me like 3 months after the referral was given, and they called me in October. I remember I was at my sister's wedding, and it was the first week in October, and they gave us the date for the next available appointment was on April 20th. So it was going to be like 10 months away, and we're like so excited. And then it's like, you know, another 6 months while the tests are processed, and it was nothing. There was nothing. They found nothing. So like now, this being like the 4th time we've gone through not the testing, but like going to see a geneticist, I know they're not reassuring me, but they're trying to like get me ready for the idea that they're not going to find anything, and I'm already there. I'm not like super excited that we're going to go in there and find out what's wrong with her through genetic testing, because this isn't my first rodeo.
Oh,
You guys are pretty easy to impress, right?
Yeah.
Keep going straight.
Whoa, that's a dog.
I know, I'm not really expecting it. I mean, if we find something and we get some answers, that would be great, but this doesn't really change anything. The main reason that I wanted to go at all was because if we could get some answers about her central apnea, it might give us answers about the other kids, because they can't get James to go through a sleep study. And if we could get answers about whether or not he has a gene that, and we could get answers about whether or not he has central apnea, and I'm not even sure how helpful they'll be, but her doctors wanted them, and I guess you always kind of hope that maybe you'll get answers, even when you kind of get pessimistic about whether or not you're going to actually get answers. So that was the first appointment.
From the airport, so I'm worried about when she's done.
I like your fancy hair too. I heard you're doing Tessie likes them.
And that lasted pretty close to 2 hours. We were there for almost 2 hours, and they sent us over to the lab, and they needed a blood test from me, a blood test from Tessie, and Paul gets to send in a little like saliva sample. He wasn't there. And then, but we didn't have time to go to the lab at that point, because it was time for James's pulmonology appointment, and James was in a mood. And we went over to pulmonology. We determined that, the pulmonologist decided that what we were going to do next is have James do an at-home, not sleep study, but like an at-home sleep study. Basically, they're going to send a monitor like Tessie's home for James.
Up to the sky, I'm falling, help me pedal up, pedal, 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 pedal.
Whoa.
That's going to go over well. And they're hoping that we can get James to tolerate wearing a little thing on his toe, an oximeter on his toe or finger. I'm not sure which one they're going to have him do. And I'm guessing a breathing strap on his chest to see if he stops breathing at night.
You hungry for
This. The swimming pool. The swimming pool.
And what his desaturation levels look like, and we're hoping we can get him to wear that for one night so we can see what his oxygen levels look like at night. However, if he has crazy oxygen levels at night, the next step is sleep study. And we've already failed spectacularly at that. Now, the other not spectacularly good news that we got was that the doctor took another look at his tonsils while we were there, and he does have mediumly, is that a word? Mediumly enlarged tonsils, and wants him to go see an ENT, another doctor, another specialist, and wants his primary care to refer him to an ENT to discuss the possibility of having his tonsils and adenoids removed. I was just like, I know you can't see me down here. Sorry. Surgery. Surgery on like, okay, it would be worse if it was Maggie maybe, or Tessie.
Mommy, look what I'm making. It's tinier.
I guess we wouldn't really be talking surgery until the results of the at-home sleep study come back, but surgery based on like something that might maybe fix something, I'm not super excited about the prospects. So, I mean, obviously we'll be talking about this with this primary care doctor, we'd be talking about it with the ENT, but that was definitely not super good news. So that was a pulmonology appointment. And then we headed over to the lab, and Tessie and I both got our blood drawn. Luckily, Tessie slept through from the end of the genetics appointment through the pulmonology appointment. And then we went over and got the labs done. And we walked across the bridge to the hospital.
And you? Is it pretty cool?
They also have a toy.
Because the kids love playing on like this little play area that they have over there.
This is so pretty. You do?
So they got to do that before we got back in the car and made the long drive home. And we went over and got treats at the snack bar or at the cafeteria. Because Patrick claimed that he could smell pancakes, and he was insistent that there were pancakes there, but we never tracked down the pancakes that he was sure he could smell.
There's having a giant cookie as a reward for her blood test, huh?
So that is the latest. And in me news, I kind of mentioned this yesterday in the video. My doctor thinks that I might need my gallbladder out because every time I eat, I get sick. And so tomorrow I'm going for an ultrasound of my gallbladder. All of the blood tests and other tests they sent in were normal because they were looking at those were tests mostly for my liver and I think kidneys maybe, to make sure everything's normal. And all those tests came back normal. But the real test is looking at my gallbladder tomorrow, which is what he thinks it is anyway, since it feels like every time I eat something I'm being like punched in the ribs and back and shoulder, and it really, really, really hurts every time I eat. And sometimes now when I don't eat and I get really, really sick, which has been really helpful with losing weight, but isn't good with like actually wanting to eat anything at all. At first it was just like any food that was at all fried or had fat or tasted good, and then like by now it's like any food with like any food, anything that's not water. So that's what's going on with me. I'm feeling not super great, so I'm hoping that the ultrasound gives the doctor some answers, because if the ultrasound doesn't come back with anything, he's talking about another test where they look at my liver when I am eating, and then they give my gallbladder something that causes it to contract, and he said that would be painful, and I'd really rather not do that test. Too many tests, too many doctor's appointments. Oh, hello, you found me. I didn't lock that door. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, we went into the cafeteria. They had ice cream, they had shakes, they had these giant cookies that were filled, like every inch of them were filled with M&Ms.
I did not like them.
What did you didn't try them. What did you want? He picked cranberry grape juice as his treat.
Yeah, that's super yummy. But I wanted to save them for Wador. Those babies for Wador. Right?
He doesn't like chocolate. He doesn't like cookies. He despises any sort of carbonation in any sort of drink. Come in.
Come on.
Go get it.
Don't walk.
Oh, he's here. You don't need to get it. Come here. Come up here. Okay.
Up. High five. Boom.
Can you say thumbs up?
Thumbs down.
Oh.
Thumbs up.
Can you say press subscribe?
Press subscribe.
So you don't miss any updates on James and his breathing and Patrick and his love of cranberry grape juice?
Yeah. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yeah, for berries. Oh yeah. Yeah, go.
Whether not mommy's having surgery, whether or not I'm having surgery next week or this week. Oh my goodness. Shoes on the bed, or
even the snapper.
Or the gross slime hand and how long it lasts in this house. It's gonna get gross. Why is that on my bed? And that is the latest.
How dare you?
That's all for today.
Bye.
17 minutes. We talked for way too long. We gotta go. Bye.